Hello everyone, and welcome to this component overview video for Dark Souls the board game. So in this video, I'm going to go over various minor opinions and, well, the components themselves, while stating what is needed for what is included in the game. This will also include various things like how many sleeves you'll need for the two sizes of cards, the what sleeves these work for the small cards, and also oh, the facings. This is also the video where I go over the dice in more detail. Well, I will be doing other videos for more details on much of the game. But let's get started. So, of course, there's the rulebook. I won't be going over this in any video other than the reminder that it does have a, iconography summary on the back, because if you want to find this, you don't need to buy the game. You can go get a PDF. I'm assuming now it's on the Steamforge website, Steamforge Games website, but also I'm assuming you can easily find links to it and everything. I'm more than willing to add it to a comment reply to a comment if somebody wants to ask for it. Next up, we've got the character boards. Each of the character boards are very similar. They have their equipment slots, including the two weapons, and then the armor and the backpack, as well as the various token spots. You've got the threat level, which is important for tiebreakers for monster attacks, your heroic ability, and then your various stats and health tracker. The stats are pretty much the stats and heroic ability are the only thing that's really different between the actual physical board. Everything else is exactly the same from what I can tell in all four. As a reminder, we've got the warrior, the assassin, the knight, and the Herald. Each of these have matching models. I will go over these in more detail for their individual videos. Next up, we have the exploration boards. First off, starting with which are all double-sided, starting with the bonfire or Firelink Shrine, whatever you want to refer to it. This is basically your home base for the game. This is where you will go. This is where you will store items for your inventory, put the actual treasure deck, store your treasures, keep the spark dial, or the bonfire itself, and come back to the Firekeeper and Blacksmith Andre to upgrade your stats and your weapons. Next up, we've got the 6 exploration tiles. I'm debating whether or not to do a specific video on just these. I might mix it with the encounter cards, but they're all double-sided. Each side has a matching theme entirely, also matching to the bonfire shrine, and also to the, well, up next, the mini boss tile, which is just straightforward another tile, but it doesn't have multiple spawns, just the one spawn spot, and no chance for traps to my knowledge, and also, well, none of the barrels or treasure chests can spawn in the room. That is continued by the main boss tile. The main boss tile is pretty much exactly the same, except that the spawn spot is a little different, and it's a continuation, be it one side or the other, of the mini boss room, making it the only room that is 2 tiles. Also, the game comes with 27 miniatures. Those will be gone over in more detail when they are when I get to their such as the heroes with their hero sheet, as I mentioned earlier, or when I get to the actual cards in detail for the monsters. I will likely be doing all the non-boss monsters as one video. Next, we're moving on to the large cards, which there are 73 of total, in case you want to know how many you need for sleeves. These are all for various monsters and stuff like that. Like every last card here is monster information. There are the 6 cards detailing the individual monsters, anywhere from the Silver Knight, the Hollow Soldier, and the Sentinel. Then you've got the 7 data cards for the bosses and mini-bosses, which dictates their passive ability, their heat up amount, their health, their armor and resist, what cards you want to, what encounter cards you're playing, and so on, and other various things. I will go over more both the data cards for the boss and the basics, as well as pretty much all these cards when I get more to those models. Then you have the various behavior cards, which include for each mini boss 5 regulars and 3 heat ups, which are the one of which gets added later. The dance out of the 2 bosses, the dancer has 10 behavior cards and 3 heat ups as well, but Ornstein and Smo, who have 5 behavior cards to begin with, and then 5 each heat up cards. I believe based on their passive, you actually take one from the opposite, or when you kill one, you take one from that and give it to the other. So they fight together, and then they don't. Next up, we have the small cards, which there are 189 of, in case you want to sleeve it. Also, these are exactly, or almost exactly, if not exactly, the same size as Fantasy Flight's small cards, so their sleeves will work just fine. These contain various things like gear, encounter cards, or, well, pretty much it's mostly gear. First up amongst these, we have the starting cards for the various classes, each of which have 3, except for the Herald, who has 4. I, again, will go over these, as well as the rest of these cards, more detail once I get to the character specifically. In this case, these are various other things. As well as the starting gear cards, you have the various class treasure cards that get added to the deck, with 2 different sets for each. Each set has 5 total, 10 for, thus 10 for each class, with the regular starting set, and then the transposed starting set that has this little blue dot at the top. Next, we have the legendary gear cards, which currently are all weapons. 5 of these get added into the treasure deck after you beat the mini boss. Examples of cards are all notable items, such as the Drake Sword, the Fume Ultra Great Sword, or the Avalon. I will be going over these in more detail when I go over the general gear loot deck. Next up, we have the 60 basic treasure cards, which could be anything from an Ember to a gear upgrade, such as a Titanite shard. Rings qualify as armor upgrades, or to gear itself. The last gear cards we have are the boss gear cards that are awarded to you after beating a boss. Now, mind you, only the mini-bosses are actually useful if you're not playing the campaign. And as a further note, the Titanite, while all of these have 3, the Titanite Demon and Ornstein and Smo are an exception, as the Titanite Demon has 2 and Ornstein and Smo have 4. Lastly, for the small cards, we have the encounter cards, which there's 12 in each of these. He's with 1 encounter, 2 encounter, 3 encounter level. These are played based on which boss you have. They can have various things, such as they all have what spawns, and also the various, debris and stuff, barrels, and also things such as if they have this on the bottom, it is a trap. Versus nothing. Now on to the dice of the game. We have 4 different types of dice: the black, the blue, the orange, and the green. Specifically the 3 sets of attack dice and the dodge dice being the green. The dodge dice are a 50-50 chance, 3 of each, blank and dodge, for a successful dodge, but 1 alone isn't always a dodge. As for the damage and defense dice, we first start with the black, being the basic, with a 1 in 6 chance of missing, a 3 in 6, so 1.5 chance of getting 1 success, and a 2 in 3 chance, 2 in 6 chance of getting 2. Then we move on to the blue dice, where there are no chances to miss. We have 1, 2, chances for a 1, and then 3 chances for a 2, and 1 chance for a 3. Then we move on to the heavy hitting die, the orange die, where there's only 1 chance of a 1, 2 chances of a 2, 2 chances of a 3, and a chance at a 4. Now, to track your stats, health, stamina, and damage, the game comes with various cubes. 16 white cubes to track where your stats are, 4 for each character, and then 32 of both the black and red cubes to track your stamina used and your damage taken. While I do expect new cardboard or stat cards for the new characters to come with the player character expansion and will be provided, I'm assuming that these cubes will still be the only ones used, and new cubes will not be provided, as the game will probably still be limited to 4 players. On to some of the specific tokens. We have the first player activation, the aggro token, the fog gate, treasure chests, which have a closed and open side, the grave markers, and barrels, which have a unbroken and, well, a broken side. As a quick note, these 3 specifically, the treasure chest, grave marker, barrel, as well as the bonfire, with the core game expansion, will be getting miniatures. As another element that goes out onto the exploration tiles, we have the various trap tokens, all 20 of them, some of which are blank and some of which are actual traps. I will go over these in more detail in another video. The other standard tokens to go on your character card are the luck tokens, heroic tokens, embers, and the Estus flask. As 2 notes, the Estus flask is the only one of these to have a different animation or different visual for their active and inactive side, right? And the heroic token is the pendant gift from the first game, or at least the image is. So it's glad to see that it finally has some use. Now on to the condition tokens. We have stagger, frostbite, bleed, and poison. Bleed and poison have the same effect on both players and enemies, while frostbite and stagger do have different effects if they are affecting the player or an enemy. Next up, we have the various counters for the that are with the skulls and souls. These souls are meant to be damage on monsters, and souls are, well, souls. For those of whom that aren't familiar with Dark Souls, it's basically both your currency and your XP. There are a total of 19 soul tokens, with 10 of the 1s, 5 of the 3s, 3 of the 5s, and this 1/8 here, which is really convenient in a 4-player game. And then on the wound tokens, we have 5 1s, 3 3s, and the 1 5. These are not needed for bosses. Last up, we have the various dials for the game, most of which are used for tracking bosses. And then the one that is the bonfire, or as it's known in the game, the spark dial, used to track basically your continuations within the game. As a slight note, there is separately one for Ornstein and Smo, but also the bosses are slightly bigger than the mini-boss dials. The mini-bosses are actually the same size as the bonfire. Now, I just wanted to point out real quick that there are some minor issues with the components in general. The dials themselves sometimes end up very loose. There's a bit of a nub on the inside that sometimes has some extra plastic. I didn't notice it till after I put a couple of them together and realized that was causing it. I still need to personally pry some of mine apart and then fix them. Also, some of the cardboard, I don't know if this is visible here, nope, yep, there it is, has basically a ring around the edge because of various, I'm assuming, manufacturing things. This isn't really a big issue, but I know it might bother some people. Alright everyone, thank you for watching this component overview video for Dark Souls. Well, it's the board game. I will be getting to further videos later for further details into components, and such as the characters and monsters and the treasure deck. If you liked the video, feel free to press the like button. Also, if you want to share it with somebody else you think might like it, go for it. If you didn't like it, feel free to press that dislike button, but try to leave a constructive comment. Again, like I said in the unboxing video, if there's not enough details about a specific thing, there is likely a video coming for it later, or I have said that there isn't. If I have said in this video that there isn't, feel free to ask for more details of it. Also, if you want to see the rest of the videos or more videos on my channel in general, be it for board games, the painting videos that will be coming up, and other gaming stuff, feel free to subscribe. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.